All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Raw Intuition Health Show. Hope you're all doing well out there. We've got a little bit different of a show today. We are going to be doing a live call-in show. So there's no guest today. It's just going to be yours truly and everybody out there in the audience. And we are going to do basically a Q&A, but with a little twist. So you're going to be able to actually call in, and you'll be able to be on the screen here with me if you would like to be. And we can do a call-in show, and we'll see how this goes. I'm just kind of testing it out, giving it a try, seeing if it works. But I think that could be fun. And so if anybody out there wants to jump on screen with me, you can sure do so. And I'm going to send a link. So I'm going to put a link in the chat. And so if you guys click on that link, it's going to take you into a waiting room, and then I can bring you on one by one to ask your question. All right, so I might have to have a time limit for each guest, so don't be offended if I have to move you off the screen, but we'll just see how it goes. I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but yeah, I'd be happy to have anybody out there that wants to jump on. I see we got JJ and Carl in the audience right now. What's up, you two? Thanks for being here. I hope you guys have some random questions you want to throw out there and we can discuss. I meant to have some topics ahead of time to talk about, well, you know, to kind of fill the gaps of the space if there's no questions, but you know how life goes. I didn't prepare anything, but I'm sure we can come up with something. So yeah, let's have some fun with this. So I'm going to put the link to the room where you can join me in the chat. All right. And so let me put that in there. All right, there it is. I think you should be able to click that right in the chat. So JJ, I'm not sure if you want to join, or Carl, anybody else that's out there, you know, feel free to Carl, no worries, Carl. You can always put your questions just in the chat in text form as well. So don't feel like you have to come on and be on video. You can definitely, if you have any sort of questions or there's any topics that you would like to hear discussed, just toss them in the chat and we can definitely cover those as well. But if anybody does want to, you know, hop on the screen, go for it. I'm happy to bring you on. All right. Yes, you are so welcome, Carl. Thanks for always being here. I appreciate your attendance and the you know, the value that you bring to the comment section and to the show at large. So thank you. All right. Well, how's everybody out there doing? Carl, JJ, what have you guys been up to this weekend? All right, Carl threw in the first question. Thank you, Carl. Nuts, good or bad? I know peanuts are not recommended. Any other to avoid? Yeah, nuts. I consume nuts and seeds on a regular basis, so I think that they are beneficial. I have seen really, I mean, I know there are certain people and doctors and, you know, sources out there that say all nuts and seeds are bad and that they are atherogenic. But I tend to believe that they can be included in, you know, the right proportions in a whole food plant-based diet, or really any diet that you're eating, but especially a whole food plant-based diet. Nuts and seeds can definitely be a healthy addition to your diet, and yeah, I mean they're full of antioxidants, phytochemicals, you know, omega-3s if you're eating chia, flax, hemp seeds, walnuts. But yeah, I know I'm a big fan of Dr. Peter Rogers, but I know he is really against eating nuts and seeds for the most part. I I tend to fall more in the kind of more of the balanced approach to that topic. So hope that helps. I have seen no negative consequences from consuming them up to this point. So I've got good blood pressure. I've got good blood lab results. So what can I say? And many of the people that I like, even Dr. Fred Bishi, I know he consumes nuts and seeds. He's what, 94 or 5 now, 95 maybe, and he's been doing this for a long, long time, and so I think it's easy to be on extremes on whatever topic you're talking about, but usually, when you get to the extremes, it's maybe for a certain subset of people, I think eliminating nuts and seeds could be beneficial, but for the majority of people, I think you're pretty safe in the proper amounts. All right, let's see here. Carl has another question. If sitting is the new smoking, are there any disadvantages to always being on your feet? Good question. Like varicose veins, I view standing as only a positive. I'd love to know what you think. Yeah, I pretty much agree with you, Carl. I do think that standing is a positive. I have a standing desk that I'm standing at right now. I also have a desk treadmill that I've got folded up beneath my desk right now. I don't use it while I'm on a show, but yeah, I do think that it's, I would say obviously standing is going to be more beneficial than sitting. But I think if you can get a desk treadmill, that's going to be another step up so that you're actually moving rather than, just kind of having that stationary, you know, position. And so could it lead to varicose veins? I do know that they say being on your feet all day can lead to that. So, but I think walking could definitely help with circulation and help with moving lymph and just keeping you in the state that I think we're supposed to be in, which is active. So yeah, I think if you're standing, great. I think you're doing a great thing for your health, especially if you're used to sitting all the time at a desk, if you have a computer or a desk job or whatever. But yeah, so I would say if you can get a treadmill desk, I would recommend it. I've really enjoyed having one. I don't use it every single time that I'm at my computer, but I use it, pretty frequently. And so I think it's been giving me a lot of benefit. I do notice at the end of the day, after I have been at the desk and I've been using my treadmill, the difference when I haven't been using it is substantial. So, it makes me feel better at the end of the day when I've used it versus when I haven't used it. So, hope that helps. All right, let's see here. Yep. Yeah, stretching is good as well. Carl says, I'll be high raw vegan for 2 years in November. Can we have a quick checklist on the top things to look out for? Ooh, great question. I actually have that listed in my book, 21-Day Raw Transformation Program. Some of the most common mistakes that people make. Let's see, where did I put that in here? It is... Well, I know it's in here somewhere, but let's see. I guess I didn't put it in the table of contents. Weird. Well, anyways, so some of the common mistakes, I'll kind of look through my book here, but some of the common mistakes that I see with people, especially in the beginning. Oh, no, not difficult at all. I don't mind. I would say too high of fat. So that kind of goes back to your nuts and seeds question. Too high of fat can be one of the most common mistakes that I see, especially in the beginning. I started out eating much higher fat in the beginning. I could eat like 5 or 6 avocados in a sitting, and I would actually feel okay. I would feel fine. because I was coming from a diet that was high in fat already. So it really wasn't that big of a transition, except for it was moving more from saturated fats to monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats. So, there was a benefit there. But in terms of, the overall context of the diet, it was still too high fat for what you want long term. And so uh, over the years, I kind of experimented with different levels of fat in my diet. And what I noticed is that having higher fat led to less than optimal digestion, gave me more gas and bloating. It made me less active. It made me more tired. Made my bowel movements not as well, not as clean. It made my thinking less, sharp. And so when I lowered the fat, I did notice a big benefit in all those areas. Even my sleep improved when I lowered the fat. So, there's a lot of good things about experimenting with these things and seeing how it makes you feel personally. But from what I've seen for myself and from what I've seen in other people, keeping the fat relatively low is always going to be the preferred option. Another mistake or challenge that I see people have on this diet and lifestyle is the perfection mindset. And kind of like I mentioned about the extremes on different topics, it's people that are all raw, like have that mindset of raw is law. I don't think that is beneficial for the majority of people when it comes to making this diet sustainable and healthy. Sure, you can do it healthfully in an all raw forever context. You sure can. But there's also, the fact of life that not every situation isn't going to always be perfect. And, when people put themselves in a situation where they're not in the perfect situation, they're not in their normal routine, maybe they have a family get together or a wedding or, whatever, the grocery store didn't have ripe bananas, or they couldn't find any good fruit or something, then they can't keep up with that all raw approach, and it leads to falling off the wagon and just going haywire with crazy stuff in their diet. And so, they kind of just give up and they just get overwhelmed and burnt out on that, like kind of white knuckling the all raw thing. So, I think, like I've said many times, this is probably nothing new that you've heard me say, but making sure that you're balanced in your approach and looking at it from, a more balanced or open-minded, I guess, viewpoint. When I look at, I in the beginning was kind of in that mindset of, raw is law for the most part, but and I just thought, there was no benefit to including cooked food in the diet. My views have shifted slightly on that, just in terms, for a few reasons. One, uh, like I mentioned, it gives you more flexibility in social situations, and not that I think we should be, compromising on you know, our goals based on what society makes easy for us. But I think, it is something that a lot of people should consider when it comes to how, it's affecting you mentally. Because if you can't connect with your friends or your family or anybody in society, it does have a mental consequence. And, we are social beings, and connecting with our friends and family and communities is important. And so, for me, I remember so when I was all raw, um, and we had a family get together, and my mom made lentil loaf, which I tried some, even though wasn't really eating cooked food at that point very much. And so I ate it and I got the worst stomach cramps and stomach ache like the entire next day. Even though it tasted good. It tasted good when I ate it. And so that was one of the kind of impetuses that got me to think, well, maybe just because, stepping back just a second, I noticed that many of the long-term healthy people that I have followed and learned from and watched and read about, none of them were 100% raw, right? So these are basically whole food, plant-based, I would say high raw people. You know, they include potatoes and lentils and beans and things in their diet, and they lived a long, healthy life. And then I see many of the, not many, but some of the long-term 100% raw, like the strict raw vegans who passed away early. And it like kind of sparked a thought in my mind, like, you know, I don't think that it started to become obvious to me that being 100% raw really didn't give, from what I had seen, it didn't give you a benefit in terms of longevity or even really, health span, right? Like, of course, a high amount of raw food I think is important for sure. But I mean, I haven't seen many examples where a 100% strict raw vegan has, one, they look the exact, so they talk like it's the fountain of youth, like it is like the elixir of longevity, and you're going to live forever, you're going to look like you're 50 when you're 100. Yet all of the the strict raw food people, they look about their age, they look about the same as other just whole food cooked eating plant-based people and doctors. And so I just haven't seen evidence that eating 100% raw versus a good amount of raw with some whole cooked plant foods in your diet is going to make you it's going to benefit you in terms of, one, how you look, two, how long you live, or how healthy you live long term. So, I'm not saying raw food isn't important, because of course it is. It changed my life. But looking at, the evidence that I've seen around me, and from, from just researching and things, eating a good amount of whole raw food with, if you want, I'm not saying you have to, but if you want to include, whole cooked plant foods, it's not going to be detrimental from in my opinion. As long as, you don't go crazy and you're not eating like fried foods and processed foods and things like this. But unless somebody can show me there's a significant like observable benefit to being strict 100% raw versus being what I promote in my book and just what I promote on this channel is basically a high raw. I promote all raw or high raw. I promote making the choice for yourself in the book, and that's what I really believe everybody should do. But I just don't think people should have the idea, that eating 100% raw is going to, no matter what, make sure that you're going to have a better health outcome and lifespan than if you were to, eat a high raw diet. Like, come on. To me, it's pretty obvious that, yes, raw food is important, but 100% raw isn't it's not a panacea. It's not like, I haven't seen any observable evidence that it's going to be beneficial more beneficial. It's beneficial, but more beneficial than eating a high raw whole food plant-based diet. So that's just what I've come to realize. And yeah, I'm sure there's people out there that may disagree, but I would love to see the evidence that show me the strict 100% raw vegan that is looking even 25 years, 20 years younger than they actually are. I know there's Annette Larkin, so she is a good example. But besides her, show me one. Otherwise, they look pretty much their age. And yeah, so anyways, Tessa, what's up? I see you. She's personally 100% raw. No, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's awesome. That is great. That is incredible. Good job, Tessa. And I did it. I did that many years too. So I know like you can do great either way. But I'm just saying, like, people just don't get that idea that like eating a little bit of whole cooked plant foods is going to tank your health because there's no evidence that it is. I mean, there's only evidence of the contrary, really. So it just makes it more sustainable. It gives you a little bit of flexibility. It allows you to connect with people a little bit better, and yeah. So I think for me personally, it's like the few, and I don't want to get on like this bandwagon of trying to like get people to eat cooked food, because that's definitely not like what I'm trying to do. But I'm just saying, have a like a good frame of mind when you're looking at this this topic, because yeah, it can just it's so it's more dependable, first of all. Like, so it really started for me. I started increasing, not really increasing, but I started more consistently consuming like lentils, beans, potatoes, some oats more recently, really just out of curiosity, but mostly beans, not rice, other than wild rice, beans, lentils, split peas, and potatoes. Right. So those are kind of the main things that all add to my massive raw salad, my 5-star salad, which is something I, of course, always recommend, is to consume cooked food with a salad, because that's going to make it digest better. You're going to feel much better afterwards. And then, yeah, so like 2020, when it was getting wild out there in the world, and there, it was really a struggle going to the grocery stores. I did start to more regularly let myself consume, those things, the potatoes, the beans, the lentils, because they're much more convenient, for one. You can have a big stash of them. I don't have to go to the store, frequently, to, like I do with bananas or with my other fruits, to make sure that I'm having a nice rotation or a nice supply of ripe fruits. And so the beans, the lentils, potatoes, they last a long time, and their quality is going to be consistent over whenever I choose to use them, right? So it gives me that flexibility, that consistent quality in them, and I don't have to worry about them spoiling and all these things. So yeah, so that was one thing. It was just more convenient, and it gave me more flexibility for when I was going to have my food. I didn't have to go to the store so often, so that's convenience. Also, let's see. Why else? Because it, well, I enjoy it, I guess, and somebody out there might say, "Oh, you're addicted to it," but I would disagree. I'm definitely not addicted to it. I could stop eating cooked food if I wanted to, but I just don't see a reason to at this point. Because after I've been doing it since, like I said, since 2020, I've been, pretty consistently having some cooked food with my salad, and so I don't feel worse, and it just gives me a little more calories. I actually kind of like that it fills me out a little more. Like, obviously I'm just getting more calories, and so it helps me sustain my weight, and with my workouts, getting more calories in helps me with building muscle. So not that you have to eat cooked food to build muscle, but it just makes it easier because you're getting more concentrated calories. At least that's my experience. So yeah, let's see. And then again, like the connecting with my family at social gatherings, that's another big part of why, like I said, back when I ate that lentil loaf from my mom, I realized like there's some things that I would kind of like to enjoy with my family, but because I never eat it, my digestive system just isn't really that good at digesting those things. And so I was like, well, maybe I can just include it a little bit here and there so that in those situations, I can still enjoy these things with my family and it's not a big deal. And then when I go back home, I can go back to my regular routine of how I eat. And so that was that was part of where it started. But then again, like I said, in 2020, it was just like easier. I didn't have to go out to the stores as often when it was like, really uncomfortable going to the grocery stores. And yeah, so things like that. But anyways, long tangent there. Sorry, I really got off on a on a story. But I see some other comments coming in. But yeah, I hope that helps a little bit. So the high fat. Some of the common mistakes I see is the high fat, the super strict mindset, the reliance, I would say, on recipes, and not that that's a bad thing, but I think when you get too dependent on recipes, and obviously I make recipes for people to use, and so do a lot of other people that are doing a lot of good work, but needing to always rely on recipes it makes things more expensive. Typically, if you have to go out and get all these different ingredients for recipes, it's going to be more expensive. And it's just more difficult. It's more time consuming. It's more, it's just not as convenient. And so the important thing to make something sustainable is to make it convenient and easy to do. And so if you make this lifestyle easy by like starting off with the recipes is fine. But if you get stuck with needing recipes long term, probably not going to succeed. You have to learn how to just throw things together and make it easy. And that is how you're going to make this sustainable, whether you're all raw or high raw or whatever you are. You want to make the way that you eat as easy as possible and as convenient as possible, right? So that would be one thing also that I would say some of the people that start off, they just kind of always rely on recipes and then they just say it's too hard, it's too inconvenient to continue doing this, and they just go to fast food or something. So yeah, hope that helped. I was jumping all over the place, but thank you, Carl, for the question. All right. And yeah, so I see there's a bunch of more comments and questions coming in. I think questions, at least comments anyways. But if anybody wants to jump on the screen with me, you can definitely do that. I'm going to here post the link again to the room where you can pop on the screen with me and ask me your question. This is a live call-in show. All right. So live call-in show. You are so welcome, Carl. Thank you. Yeah, so please join me. Anybody, Tessa, you wanna jump in? It'll be a nice nice time. So jump in, ask your questions. Just kidding, no pressure. If you don't want to jump on the screen, no worries at all. Let's see. Okay, hold on. There was another question here. Oh, Flatlander Montgomery had a message, but they retracted it. Let me see. Sorry, I'm behind on these comments. Oh, Tessa said, how do we call in? You call in by clicking. So you click the link that I just posted in the chat. All right. And that's going to take you into a room where you'll kind of be in a waiting room. And basically I will then bring you onto the show. All right. So things are getting very sophisticated on the Raw Intuition Health Show. You can call in, join the show, and ask your question. All right, so be impressed. All right, let's see here. Oh, Tessa says, I am vegan for the animals for life. Nice, me too, Tessa. Glad to have you on board. Okay, here we go. Flatlander Montgomery says, I am vegan and I want to know if there is a smoking gun reason why you believe humans are frugivores, herbivores, as opposed to omnivores. Great question. Or is it just a preponderance of evidence? Well, I would say it is a preponderance of evidence. A smoking gun, I wouldn't say, I mean, there's things you could claim are a smoking gun, like, you don't have to, every animal in nature is able to eat their designated foods without processing it in any way. They don't have to season it. They don't have to cook it. They don't have to whatever. They don't have to change it from its original state. They can just eat it right as it is when they find it. And fruit is basically the only food that we can do that with, including greens, of course. I'm a big greens guy. But, the fruits it's so obvious to me. Like, you can just, one, pretty much everybody that doesn't live their life on fast food is going to say, they love fruit, right? There's people that say they don't like fruit, but it's only because they're, no offense, but they're so toxic internally. Their taste buds have been altered so much that they can't enjoy like, they're so attuned to processed sugars and oils and synthetic ingredients that real fruit, the most delicious thing, I think you guys would agree with me, the most delicious thing that you can consume is fruit. And so that there, to me, is could be considered a smoking gun. I know frugivores in nature, the other primates, they do consume some small animals at different times. Some don't, though. There's bonobos that don't consume any animals. Some bonobos do. And it's a very small amount of their diet. I believe it's 2% or so, less than 5% anyways, of their diet throughout the year, right? So if there's scarcity in their preferred foods, they may try to eat another small animal. Or I think chimps eat other monkeys. I don't think bonobos do, but yeah, gorillas are 100% vegan as far as I know. They might eat insects, I guess, but yeah. So I think just the evidence of one, fruit we can eat without processing. There's more than enough evidence showing that fruit there's really no upper limit of fruit that you can eat that is going to be detrimental to your health, assuming you're in a metabolically healthy state. So unless you're all sludged up with fat and you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, then you're not going to want to just pound in piles and piles of fruit, because your body is in a diseased state. It needs to come back into equilibrium so that it can start to function as it's supposed to, and then you can start to consume fruit as you were designed. Now, I don't believe that we are strict frugivores. I mean, strict fruit eaters. I think that greens, even bonobos and chimps and gorillas, they're all eating greens. So people out there that say that we are strict frugivores and we should just eat fruit, I have not seen one person myself personally. I've never seen them on the internet. I've never read about them. I've heard John Kohler say he knows one person that's been 100% fruit for long, a substantial amount of time, and they're still healthy. But I personally have never seen one person that I would want that level of health. I wouldn't want to, not that looks are everything. I wouldn't want to look like I've seen some 100% long-term only fruit eaters, look, or their state of health. I just being honest. So I think including vegetables, including leafy greens, including nuts and seeds, including, a well balanced whole food, mostly or all raw, plant based diet is going to give the best outcomes, whether it's superficial or whether it is just biological, physiological. You want to be able to, I would say you want to look at the people that are doing the style of eating that they promote for long term and see their results, and then decide for yourself if that's how you want to eat. And again, it's not just diet, guys. Diet is just one piece. You probably heard me talk about, I've been doing a lot of research into the effects of light on our health, sunlight, other forms of light, artificial light. It is so important that we're outside every day if we can. As many days as possible, we should be outside getting full spectrum sunlight throughout the day. We want to have sunlight in our eyes in the morning, midday, and at night. You want to make sure your circadian rhythm is being optimally regulated. And so being out in the light is really important. Sunlight is non-coherent light. I'm just learning about the biophotons and all these things. Now, I've always heard John Rose talk about biophotons, but I've just now started actually reading and researching about it. Every single one of our cells. What I learned is that our DNA and our mitochondria, they're what are called chromophores. All right, chromophores. That means they absorb and emit light. So our DNA and our mitochondria literally absorb light from the sun and from our environment. And they take in that light, which is incoherent light, meaning, like a laser, that's coherent light. And so that's all the wavelengths are moving in sync and they're at the same wavelength and frequency. But sunlight, it's a bunch of different things. That's why when you're out in the sun, you're absorbing, they say eat the rainbow. You're absorbing the rainbow when you're out in midday sun. There's all the colors, red, orange, green, blue, violet, indigo. They're all in the sunlight. You can't see it. It's white light, but it's, as you guys know, a rainbow. You see a rainbow when it rains, that's breaking up, it's showing all the different colors that are within that sunlight, but you're absorbing all of those colors. The colors, just like talk about polyphenols, how important polyphenols are for regulating cellular function and metabolic pathways and genetic expression from our foods. That's also happening from the rainbow that we're absorbing in the light. All right, so we want to make sure we're getting proper exposure to all these colors through the light, and we're not consuming a toxic light diet or a light environment. All right, so just something I'm looking into right now. It's actually going to be part of my next book that's coming out, so I'm working on that one, and that's going to be just a small section in there, but I think it's pretty interesting. So, let's see, where was I going with that? I don't remember how I got onto that. Okay, did I miss it? Is anybody? Let me check the room here. I still don't see anybody in the room. Sherry, I saw you comment in there. You want to jump on? You want to be part of our show here? Anybody can hop on. I'm happy to bring you in and we can have a conversation about any question that you have. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Yeah, thank you, Carl. You can also just type the question, of course, and I will still answer it. But I just thought you guys might want to have a little call-in show. I think over time we'll start to do this a little more, and I think people might want to start jumping in. But let's see, what time is it? 11:45. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, the smoking gun. Right. But yeah, I hope I answered that question. All right. Oh, Extropian Transhuman, what's up? She says, have you heard of the 13 million year old names Alessi? If so, thoughts on whether we're fruitarian if that's our true ancestor. I have not heard of the 13 million year old named Alessi. That is interesting. I'm open to hearing about it, but no, I'm not aware. And I've never, this is the thing. This is another so I do think, obviously that we are fruit eaters, right? But again, I feel like it's just me, throwing out my deepest thoughts here. I just think if fruit, like this example, a 13 million year old person. First of all, do I think that's possible? Just off the top of my head, no, not in one human body. I would like to think so, but I just haven't seen any evidence. I'll say that's what I'll say. But the thing is, again, like I do think we're fruit eaters, and I think fruit should be the main caloric source in our diet. But if it was this, like, if there was some magic, or not even magic, if there was just some innate ability for fruit to make us live and, live 13 million years, or even, we'll just say, live 100, and what's the oldest living person? Like 120 or 130 or something? Let's just say 110, all right? I just don't know any fruitarians that have lived even over 100, all right? So if the strict fruitarian lifestyle was the path to our ancestral lifespan, then I would think we would see people eating this way living at least to 100, right? And I feel like, and again, I'm not into really like saying that outward appearance is always going to be the best indicator or even a good indicator of somebody's health. I do think when you're healthy, you look healthy for the most part. I know people can be coming from certain circumstances in their life previously, and that has an effect on how they look going forward. But for the most part, I would think that somebody that's, eating like mostly fruitarian or all fruitarian, when they're like 60, 70, they would look like they're 40. I mean, based on what I hear a lot of these people claim, how anti-aging or how, metabolically clean it is, which I do think, I agree, but I'm just saying they look to age at about the same rate as everybody else. And so, of other pretty healthy people, right? And so that just kind of, I don't know, that just makes me wonder about some of the claims that I hear. But yes, I do think we are. I mean, I think it's extremely obvious that we are a fruitarian species, and that doesn't mean that it's like that like eating some other whole cooked plant foods is going to like make you basically cut your lifespan short or your health span short by like 30, 40 years, right? I just haven't seen the evidence. Okay, sorry, there's more. I'm personally working on looking into how to make fruitarianism actually nutritionally viable. We know that B12 can come from fruit, so I'm looking at the rest of it for other nutrients. Yeah, I think these are all good things to look into. If I could only eat fruit, even though I'm the 5-star salad master, I would be inclined to start eating only fruit. But I think there's a lot of problems with the current fruit that we have available to us. That's just a reality of our system that we live in. It's picked unripe. It is not grown how it should be grown a lot of times. And yeah, I don't think that eating all fruit is the way to go. and I have seen more evidence over the last 14 years of doing this, almost, that's just how it is. So I do think we definitely need greens, vegetables, and nuts and seeds. All right, let's see, moving on here. But extropian transhuman, like I said, I like that you're looking into that. Please keep us posted. Sunlight is a food source for us. Yes, definitely. It definitely is. I agree. Oh, yes, Matt 2024. Thank you. Photons equals consciousness. Yes, yeah. Did you guys know that fiber optic internet? Do you guys have fiber optic internet? I do. I didn't realize until, a few months ago when I started looking into this stuff that they transmit all of this information. Fiber optic internet is using light. They're cables of light. They're cables that contain light in them, and that's how they transmit the information so fast. So they have these massive fiber optic internet cables that go from, go all the way across the ocean. They lay it from country or continent to continent. And that is how we've got, the opportunity to have this crystal clear, no lag, information exchange, so incredibly efficient through fiber optic cables. And that is light. Light is passing through these cables. That's how the information is transported. So pretty interesting. And all light carries information, just so you know. Okay. Oh, Extropian Transhuman, you have a website. All right, yeah. I'll have what is your website, Extropian Transhuman? I'll check it out. Right. Oh, hey, we've got somebody in the chat or in the waiting room here. Let's bring them on. Let's see if I know how to do this. This is my first time doing this, guys, so let's hope that it goes smoothly. What's going on? Oh. Okay. Almost there. Oh, I'm getting some feedback from this person. What's going on here? Okay, it's not working, of course. All right, one more time. I can hear them. All right.
Everyone? Okay, wait. Can everyone hear me?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I
I
can
can
hear
hear now.
you. Can I ask who's on the line?
Oh, this is Extropian Transhuman.
Oh, Extropian Transhuman, what's up? All right, I'm sorry. It's not. Let me try one more time. It's not pulling you in for some reason. I haven't tested this before the show, and now and it worked. It's not working. All right, well, while I work on this, oops. While I work on this, I was going to look at the chat again, but I just hit refresh on my page, so. Okay, here we go. Is there another question I can just talk about while Oh, Annie has fiber optic internet. Yeah, Annie, you're seeing me via light. So that's pretty cool. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, yep. Okay. Yep. Oh, Maria said Ann Osborne is strictly fruitarian long term. Yeah, I mean, again, I guess we just have to see how it works. Because what is she like? What? I don't know how old she is. I don't think she's that old. But also, again, there's going to be some people that can do it better because they have a much better situation. Anne Osborne has her own fruit trees in the tropics in Australia. So she's out in her orchard picking fresh tree ripened fruits, being in the sunshine all day. I don't know her lifestyle 100%. I don't know that much about her. I should have her on the show. I got to get her on the show. Because I like the information she puts out. I think she's great, but she's in a little different of a situation than everybody else, pretty much. So that's something to consider. So yeah, I think if it's gonna work, it's gonna have to be a situation like that for that person to be sustainably healthy into their 80s, 90s, 100 years old. Because otherwise, I just don't see it happening. I haven't seen it happen. If you guys can point me, other than the 13 million year old person, let's just put the bar super low at like 100. Who is 100-year-old plus 100-plus-year-old strict fruitarian? Just let me know. I would like to know. And then I can show you several 100-plus-year-old whole food plant-based diet people, right? Doctors, other people. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's just like it's almost like such a pointless like argument. Like both, I mean, not really. I guess it is important. It's important to talk about. But it's just like to me, it's silly to tell people that 100% raw vegan is like the optimal way to live when there's almost non-existent evidence based on what I've seen. So, and again, I'm not saying that raw food or like 100% raw is bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I don't see evidence that it's going to give you additional benefits, like significant additional benefits versus being just a balanced, very high raw, whole food, plant-based diet person. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Okay. Oh, Aura Gold, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying this. I feel like I've just kind of been rambling just aimlessly, so I appreciate it. Okay, Extropian Transhuman, sorry, I'm gonna get back. Oh, I see you're out of the room. Let me try. I'm gonna try creating a new room. Okay, let me try creating a new room, and we'll see if it works then. So I'm gonna post a new link in the chat in just a moment. And let's see, is there any other questions I can answer while I'm stumbling around here? That's okay. I'm gonna do this quick. With me. Okay. Well. Oh, there we go. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Let me know. Let me know if you can hear me. I still don't. It doesn't sound like you can hear me. Oh, the sound is back. Okay. Well, it sounds weird in my headphones now. Hmm. Okay. I'm glad you can hear me now. Any other questions? I'm sorry, Extropian Transhuman and everybody else, that I'm not getting this to work. I thought it was going to work. I don't know what's going on. Why this sounds so weird now. All right. Well, it does sound different. Yeah. Okay. That was different on my end too. Let me try something.